Hello guys, how are you? Hope you're doing amazingly well. Let me tell you who I am. My name is Jose Rene. I'm Mexican. But yeah, I started this podcast and this episode and this YouTube channel just to practice my English and also to have an excuse to have conversation with people because I'm not that extroverted. And if you want to keep listening to me having conversations with teenagers all over the world, this is the first episode you're gonna watch with a friend of mine, Kaavya from India. Kaavya, if you're watching this, I know you're watching this. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it. I love you all, guys. So this is the first time you see me, probably. So yeah, make sure to leave a comment down below and in the comment section. And yeah, enjoy the chapter. Prepare something to drink, and let's see you there. Yeah. Thank you, Kaavya. Thank you, guys, and let's wait for the other episodes. Goodbye. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are at. Welcome back to another very special episode. Today we are with Kaavya. Kaavya Mundkur is from India, a student in grade 12 in Inventory Academy, and is also the co-founder of Project Kara. He loves to listen to music, cycle at night because it's a vibe, binge watch shows on Netflix, and also swim. And yeah, he's very excited to be here today. Welcome back to this podcast. We still don't have a name, so if you have any suggestions, you can put them down below in the comment section. Kaavya, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm also good. Well, if you're watching the video, and I'm sorry, Kaavya just woke up. It's a little bit
Nah, man.
yeah.
I get it. I get it. I woke up. I don't know when, but I'm still sleepy.
Okay.
I woke up like hours ago. It's 7 o'clock. It's almost 8 o'clock. I'm almost supposed to go to. Okay, I'm not gonna go to bed at 8. But
it's
you know what I
late.
mean, right? Yeah, it's not too late. The time difference makes sense.
But anyway, let's begin with this podcast. Kaavya, we met like I don't know 2 months ago probably.
Yeah, around then.
Yeah, and because of the Rise Challenge. So if you're listening to this podcast and you still don't know whether you want to apply or not to the Rise Challenge, Kaavya, what would you say? Like, what would you recommend? Why would you tell these guys listening to us to apply to the Rise Challenge?
If you're between the ages of 15 to 17, apply. Don't apply with the idea that you're going to win. Don't apply with the idea that you're doing it for the scholarship. Okay, that should definitely be part of it because it is a very massive scholarship and winning it would be awesome.
Yes.
But apply just because the community you form, if you make it into the finalists, and just the inspiration you get watching the video submissions is massive. I remember being incredibly on the fence about my application, especially because I had, so in India, we have these things called board exams, which are basically these standardized tests that are super important and kind of decide our future. So I was having my pre-boards, which are prep for these exams in Feb, right when we were having these applications. And I was freaking out. So I was like, okay, do I focus on these exams and ditch this, or do I just apply? Because this is when the second round started, right, around Feb, March. So I just, I went for it only because of a few of the videos I watched. I was so inspired by the work that was being done and the stories I was hearing that I knew that I wanted my organization, which I co-founded with my friend Arushi, to be a part of this journey. I wanted to be a part of this journey because these people were so incredible and they inspired me. I'm also quite interested in knowing the process that you went through when applying. Like, when do you realize that Rise was a thing? Because in my case, like, I don't know, it was November, probably December, almost 2020. And then I got the notification. I was like, man, I don't believe this. Like, it's $500,000. It's just like a lot of money. How was your process? So actually our school college counselor sent us an email with a bunch of scholarships because we're starting college app season now. In around, same time, January, November, December, that kind of thing. I did not check the timeline at that point. I thought that this was all a lie. I was like, no, it's a scam. But I knew it came from my school counselor, so I was like, okay, some reputability is there, some reliability. Then I did some research and I realized it was a part of the Rhodes Foundation. I was like, okay, this is real. What's going on? Please explain. Basically, I pushed my Rise application until the very end, and that's not good. Don't recommend that. Please don't do that. Please put all the effort you can into your Rise application, which I did. It was just very crammed. I feel like it could be better. Let's talk a little bit about Project Kara, so that someone who probably don't have an idea of what your project is about, tell us a little bit what your project is about. So Project Kara is a For the Youth by the Youth foundation in India that I co-founded with my friend Arushi, who I've already mentioned. Basically, India has always had a mental health crisis for the youth, but the way our culture is that mental health is kind of this thing you don't talk about. It's taboo. My friend Arushi and I were like, okay, something needs to be done, especially for the youth. And we did some research and we were like, okay, India's mental health is horrible. Our government must have done something, right? Because you'd think our government would. They didn't. They have some mental health policies in place, but they are generic. And the thing is, you cannot treat youth mental health the way you would an adult's mental health. There is a reason counseling psychologists and counselors in general specialize between youth and adults. And the issue is our government just didn't take account of that. So we're like, okay, let's figure this out. The aim of Project Kara is to kind of spread awareness, information, and access to mental health resources across India. And we do so in a few specific ways. We have a team of 26 people between the ages of 14 and 19. And we kind of work on podcasts. Our podcast is called Something Unsaid. Please check it out. Articles, our website has our articles, but it also has information to helplines and counselor informations in India, counselor informations for people in India. If you are in India, please check it out. It can be helpful. Our website, articles, podcast, and finally our social media page. And the main idea behind Kara is to use the power of stories, just writing and speech, to normalize mental health. And what we realized in this time is that it can also empower people when it comes to their mental health. Maybe not to speak out about it, but at least to reach out and get help.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful initiative because I've never said this before in my channel or in anywhere, but because of the pandemic, I started to suffer an OCD, so I had to go to a therapist, and basically that helped me a lot. Like it was, I know it's not magic, but it's like it feels like magic, especially when you've been going through a lot of stuff in the past few months. So basically, yeah, guys, I was thinking about telling you that everyone listening, go to see a therapist if you're going through some kind of stuff. I know it's expensive, and I don't know in your country, Kaavya, in India, but at least here in Mexico, it is expensive.
Yeah, it definitely is, and that's a massive issue.
Yeah.
And one of the things we want to do in Kara is actually find a way to subsidize this, because therapy helps. You're right. You're absolutely right. It does help. It doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. And then when the day it suddenly clicks, it's like, oh my god, what's going on?
Exactly. And how do you think we've been like so young can like really just stigmatize the idea of mental health like being crazy or mental health being something that we cannot control? How can we do it being so young?
So I think what you just did, Jose, is a great example. Open up about your stories. And you don't have to do this if you're not ready. It's 100% okay if you aren't ready to talk about it. But when we hear other people talk about mental health, it doesn't just have to be about your mental health. It could be about mental health in general. It normalizes it. It makes it like physical health. If I am completely fine saying, hey, guys, I fell down, I got a bruise yesterday, I had to go to the doctor, I had to get a scan. Why are we so scared to say something about that, about our mental health? Why are we so scared to say, hey, I'm really tired because I had a really stressful time and I'm just not doing well mentally? That's my opinion. I'm not a professional. So what do you think, Jose?
Yeah, I also think that that's a good idea. And really, I think that a good strategy would be like get psychologists or therapists in schools. Because I don't know in India, but here in Mexico, we don't have, well, we have psychologists in some schools, but not in every single one of them. But nobody really goes there. And I think because the idea of like, oh, are you crazy? Like you need to go to a therapist or you need to go. And sometimes even your circle of friends or even your family, like probably not meaning it, but makes us feel like you're weird or you are like, oh, you have a mental issue. Like, let's keep it here and don't tell anyone else because you're gonna feel like a weirdo.
Yeah, absolutely. I got super lucky with my school and family because it's they're super liberal and they're super understanding of mental health. And they're all like, if you need help, get it. But the thing is, I had an internalized stigma about mental health because society in general is just like, you are crazy. The mental health, we don't talk about it. We hide it. No one has mental health issues. What are you talking about? But I think but it was easier for me to break it down because like I had a supportive family and I had a supportive school environment. But a lot of people don't have that. Like India is very similar to Mexico in that way, where majority of the people are still going to look at someone who has a mental health issue and just maybe not mean intentionally, but always exacerbate that issue to make them, to either make them feel like it isn't real, or to make them feel
Yeah.
like they're different or less than just because of something that is hurting their mental health, not because of anything that they had to do. We often don't have control over our mental health or how it deteriorates. We do have control over
Yeah, exactly.
how we can help it, but that takes time, and it's okay to not be okay. Saying that again.
Yes, you said before, like you had to organize your time because you had a lot of tests in your country in India. How are
Yeah.
the tests in India, and how's the education there? I mean, uh, is private education way better than public education? How bad public education is? How is the situation in your country, India?
Good question. Um, so, for those of you who don't know, India has some of the worst poverty gaps in the world, and our current state in general is pretty abysmal. Um, Basically, private education is for a very select group of society, but it is also a lot better than public education. Our government schools are often underfunded. The content sometimes is not correct, and it's very and there's a very high dropout rate of over 63% in general, especially in high school. India does have a right to education as the part of our constitution, and that's fantastic. But the issue is the quality of education is never really followed up on. Quality of education is not a universal right. So basically, in India, you have your national board, which is CBSE or SISKI, which can be broken down into ICSE and ISC. And then you have your state boards. Each state gets to choose, and this is often how your government schools in each state will be taught. And then we have international boards like the Cambridge curriculum of IGCSE and AS, or the IBDP program. I take the Cambridge curriculum because I go to a private school, and I'm very lucky to go to a private school and be able to get a good quality education. But my school's big on community outreach, so I've also gotten a chance to interact with students in government schools and go to government schools. And I think one of the biggest indicators and the biggest display of how bad the situation of education is in India is we have guidelines of how each school needs to be built, safety guidelines. But in Bangalore alone, several government schools break these guidelines. You find that windows are half broken, the tables are falling apart, the windows are closing inwards so it could actually hit a kid. There have been several accidents that have happened. But that's just I think the reason I bring that up is to show you how, right from the basic stuff, the structure, the place in which people learn, things are bad. That isn't to say that we don't have some phenomenal kids work really, really hard to get out of the system, and we don't have kids who do succeed in life. We do. But the thing is, the system in India is often pitted against kids, especially kids going to government schools. And India is a massive country and a very diverse country. There is no one-size-fits-all over here. But it is important to note that, in general, quality of education differs massively between public and private education.
Of course. Okay, that's amazing. And I think that's the same that happens in some countries like in Africa or in Latin America, in countries that are not like first world countries. And I don't know how we're gonna tackle it, but we have to do it, especially if we're young. And I think one of the ways we can do it is taking advantage of the technology we have. Like, I mean, if you're watching this, if you get to listen to this podcast or use the internet, use YouTube, you can learn a lot of stuff. And that makes me want to talk about how do you learn English, because you speak a very, very well English. You speak amazingly. And I remember the first time we met, like the guys were telling you, oh, you have a British accent. And you do. Like, how do you get the British accent, and how do you learn English?
Yeah, actually, the reason I speak English as well as I do is English is my first language. I was actually born in America and I moved to India, and my family and I all speak in English, including my grandparents. But yeah, India is a big country with 22 official languages and hundreds of actual languages that just aren't recognized by our constitution. So if you ask someone if they speak Indian, please specify which Indian language you're asking them about, because we have way too many to count.
At the beginning of the quarantine, I was 24 hours just watching series, writing down what I heard, and practicing speaking on my own. Like, yeah, and I also got the
That's
opportunity to go
insane.
to just to an English school.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic, and I've always admired people who can pick up languages so quickly. I struggle with languages personally. I still can't speak Hindi as well as I would like. So Hindi is the language, Indian language that I speak. My family actually, none of our mother tongues are Hindi. My family speaks Malayalam, Konkani, and Bengali. These are native to the different states I'm from. Um, but I picked up Hindi because that's what was spoken by the help at home.
Okay.
My grammar is all over the place. I have a horrible accent. I'm not going to attempt at speaking Hindi on this, so don't even ask. But I've struggled with languages, which is why I have a huge appreciation for people like you who can pick up a language and do so well with it.
Okay, thank you so much. And now you mentioned that you were born in the U.S. Well, you said America. I guess it's the U.S. How was
Yeah, the US.
okay? So, how old were you when you moved to back to India, and how was the process? I mean, if you were a little bit older, it probably hit you a little bit more. But how was it? How was the process? How was getting adapted to a new country, which is basically also your country? But how was?
So the thing is, I moved when I was 4 years old. I don't remember anything. I don't. But just based off the stories I've heard, my accent used to be a massive issue because I would try. Back then, I spoke Hindi a lot more, so I would speak Hindi in this very strong American accent, and everyone would be like,
Oh,
why are you doing this? Please stop." But it was funny, I guess. I don't remember what the move was like. I'm sure it was somewhat hectic, but I can't remember it for the life of me.
I don't know if that was the first time we met, but you said something like about going to overseas to study. What do you want to start? What do you want to study? What do you want to do in the future? And you want to go back to your country then, or you want to stay overseas?
So, I'm applying only to colleges in America for several reasons, but a few of them are that one, the liberal arts program, two, holistic admission. They take account of stuff aside from grades, which is very important to me. And three, I'm also an American citizen, so it makes sense. Um, I plan on staying. I don't plan on coming back to India, but I do plan on figuring out ways I can still contribute to my country as a whole. I don't plan on stopping Project Kara anytime soon. I want to study. Actually, I don't know what I want to study, but I'm looking at either history because I love history, or sociology because I love sociology.
I do.
Basically, something in
I was
public
also
policy
thinking
or
about
international relations
studying
or history.
sociology. So yeah, are you this year
Hey,
going?
if you apply to the US, we could be in a program together.
Yeah, probably. So I mean that's funny, and that's like
Nice.
you have a British accent, but you're an American citizen, and you want to go back to America. Like, yeah.
I
Isn't
don't
it
have
funny?
a British accent. I don't know why people think I do.
Well, you have a more British
Thomas,
accent than an
he
American
has
accent.
a British accent. That is fair, I guess. I have a
Yeah.
somewhat Indian accent too. Sometimes, I think, maybe. I don't know. It's confusing. A lot of people have said I have a British accent, but I say that I don't.
Now,
I have them.
how's been your process of applying to colleges? And I mean this question in like organizing your time because you mentioned before like when you started your Rise project, you had to organize your time. You had to really figure out what you were going to do and how to really do it. How are you still doing it?
Oh, I am horrible at time management. It is my weakness. But I have a friend who's very, very helpful, and
Yeah.
she kind of taught me how to create time, not timetables, but like to-do lists for every day and every week, and like make them a tracker and keep track of what I'm doing. So that's kind of what I've done. I've said that X amount of time is going to be dedicated towards college, X amount of time to my academics, this much time to Project Kara, this much time to the rest of my extracurriculars, and I kind of organize my day accordingly depending on what I have to get done that day. So yeah, based on that, I kind of sort through whatever I have to, and figure out what my plan is.
You're a guy that gets out of his comfort zone so often, and I mean, not everyone has the courage, I guess, to apply. I almost didn't apply to the Rise challenge because of the reasons I told you. Like, I don't believe this, or it's a lot. It's like all over the world. Why would I get something there? Like, how do you get out of your comfort zone, and how would you recommend to the guys watching us, like our or age probably, how to get up out of their comfort zone?
Okay, good question. First of all, Jose, you're insane if you think you're not gonna get anything on any stage. You're fantastic. You're very talented, and very much deserve to be a winner. I don't know how they're gonna make the decision. I've found
Man,
that everyone I've
man, it's
interacted
been a
with so
long
far,
time, man.
it doesn't matter. We don't talk about that. That stress is next level. But I'm very serious. I think you're more than deserving, and you're an incredible person, and it's been an honor to get to meet you and hear your story.
Yeah.
As for the comfort zone thing, I actually just so I used to be very self-conscious, and I still
Okay.
kind of am. Like I used to be very particular about how I did stuff and who was watching and what I could do. I was not like that as a kid, and I don't think anyone is like that as a kid, because as a kid we don't care. We just
Yeah.
don't care what anyone thinks about us. And I say, to get out of your comfort zone, act like a 5-year-old, think like a 5-year-old. It doesn't matter who comments, it doesn't matter if people judge you. At the end of the day, if this is going to be something that you really want to do and are going to regret not doing, do it. You don't want to be 25 is now old, I'm kidding. Don't want to be like 50 and be like, when I was 18 I wish I had done this one thing. No one is going to remember that one thing past that moment. Sure, people will judge you for 5 minutes, maybe not, but after that they're going to move on. The only people who are going to regret our decisions and have them stick with us is us, right? So step out of your comfort zone if you want to. Do whatever you want to. What's the worst thing that can happen? It doesn't go the way you planned. That's okay. That's gonna happen either way. At least this way you've guaranteed that you've given it a chance.
I think that's a wonderful answer. And now you mentioned like doing a lot of stuff, and I think that's one of the reasons how we can, being teenagers, we can find our passion. What's Kaavya's passion, and how did you find it? If you have, I still don't have. Well, I have passions or hobbies that I think are my passion. For example, talking. For example, recording videos. For example, I don't know, planning stuff. But how do you think a teenager can find their passion?
Jose, I'm a bit like you. I still don't know what mine is, but
Okay.
I have multiple passions, I guess.
Yeah.
When I was in primary school, so primary school is grade 1 to 5, I wanted to be an Olympics swimmer. Obviously, that's not the case anymore. I don't have the ability to do that. I'm not that fast. But I love swimming. I love being in the water, and I still love being in the water. It's still a big hobby of mine. I love going and participating in model UNs and debating. It is one of my favorite activities of all time. And I guess the only way I did that was by just trying it out. Our school had an internal model UN. We'd heard of the fabled Inman and how awesome it would be from our seniors. And the fact that I was the youngest person going to participate didn't faze me. It was more like, okay, bring it on. I shall challenge all the adults. It worked out. It actually did end up going well.
Okay.
But I think the best way to test out your passion is to kind of try a little bit of everything for as long as you can. Never stop taking opportunities, especially unique opportunities, because you never know what you're going to miss out on.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more with you. And I remember when I was, I don't know, man, like I was also in primary school. I was like around 8. I was so scared of playing football because I was like kind of chubby. So I remember the first time I got into a soccer team, and I joined in. I remember there was a guy. He was a captain, and he was also the manager's son. So it was like a little bit more difficult. And he would make fun of me, like. And I remember like not wanting to play football anymore. But yeah, that's when I learned that we have to try different things, because I had never tried like football seriously before. And then I realized that that's one of my passions. And now I haven't played football for all the time in the quarantine, and I'm like, man, I just have to do it. Like, I don't care if I'm not the best playing. I don't care if I just want to do it. It's one of my passions. Maybe it's not something I want to do for a living, or something I can do for a living, because I guess it's a little bit late. But anyway, yeah, I think trying out different things is the way how you find your passions. So yeah, guys, if you're watching this, try everything. Like, get into the right challenge. You're gonna get to meet amazing people from all over the world, from India, from Africa, from America, from Latin America, from all the world. And this makes me ask you, Kaavya, and I also want to talk about, what's the best thing you got, or you're still getting from the Rise Challenge?
Oh, the community, for sure. Knowing people like you, like God, there's so many names that just like pop into my head anytime I think of Rise. I can't like select one, but I think even if we don't talk very often, even if I'm
Yeah.
not very active on the group chats, right? I still get inspired and excited and happy every time I talk to one of you guys, even if it's for like 5 minutes, and then for a week neither of us talk, but then again in a week we remember we exist and we're like, hey, what's up? Those are some of the best connections I've formed. And I think this is just such a supportive and collaborative community that I feel like for every success and every failure, these are people who are going to make you happy and cheer you on and be your biggest support group. Like, I think we've all become each other's cheerleaders at some level, and I think that is just phenomenal. You'd think that something as competitive as Rise would mean that everyone kind of like hated each other, but no.
Yeah,
We're
we
all
don't. We don't.
we're all so happy for each other, and I know for a fact that irrespective of who wins or loses, we're all gonna be happy for each other, and that's just awesome. Like that's insane.
Yes, man. I never thought we could find like a community like this one, and I agree with you on my favorite things about this. But yeah, I guess that's also my favorite thing because I don't know about you, but here in Mexico, I never thought I could talk with someone from right now. You're in India. I talked with someone in with people also in the US. I've talked with people from all over the world, and I mean, how it would have been so strange like me DMing people like, hey, you want to record a podcast with me, and they don't know me and I don't know them. It's like no, like, you know. So this also got me the chance of starting new projects, and also that's one of the advantages we can take from the Rise Challenge. As you said, whether we win the scholarship or not, we already won a lot. So Kaavya, anything else you want to talk about before we close the episode of today?
But make sure you follow Jose more at the stuff he's doing because it's awesome.
Thank you.
But yeah, thank you for having me on, man. I had such an awesome time. This was such a fun conversation, and
Yes.
as always, I find you an incredible person, and you always inspire me. So thank you for that.
Me too, man. So let's go with the last activity of the episode. Would you, Kaavya, close your eyes a little bit?
Okay.
Okay. So now, picture the New York Times newspaper. You are in the middle of the New York Times newspaper. Next to you is the Queen. Next to you is a famous singer, and you're in the middle. It says Kaavya Mundkur. What else does it say about you? Is within 2 years, it's the 1st of August in 2031. What does it say about you?
It says, I have no clue what it says, because there are a million things I want to do.
Okay.
It's just like a million things. I want to help broker peace in everywhere.
Okay.
I want to help discover and write new policies that help people in their lives. I want to change the world, but that's basically what I want, right? And there are like 50 different ways to do that. I also want to meet Lin-Manuel Miranda, but that's never gonna happen. So I don't know. I genuinely can't answer that question. Like, I thought really hard. I was like, okay, what does it say? So,
Amazing.
blank.
Amazing. I think that's also a valid answer. Kaavya, thank you so much for being here, for giving me the opportunity for having this conversation. I really appreciate it. I know it's late there where you are. Thank you so much for taking the time. And we've been planning this episode for a long time, haven't we?
Oh yeah, for sure. My bad about that, but like, thank you for having me. I had so much fun, and sorry about all the background noise.
Oh, don't worry, it's okay.
It's okay. Families be that way.
Okay.
So thank you again. I hope you have a great weekend. No, but this is Sunday. Have a great week, and thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you so much, Kaavya. Guys, watching this episode, thank you so much for watching us. Go follow Kaavya, go follow Project for every single one of his projects, not just the one we talked about here. Every single one of his projects and the projects he's having with his friends, his team, whatever he's doing, go follow him, go support him, because he's a great guy. We're a great community here, and go follow every single one of the Rise Challengers. Kaavya, your social media is going to be in the link below. How can we find you on social media?
And I'm putting Project Kara in as well.
Yeah.
So the only reason I'm typing it out is
it's
because life becomes easier that way.
At KJ Mundkur and also at project.kara. Go follow him, go follow his projects. Kaavya, thank you so much. Thank you for watching this episode.
Thank you.
Goodbye.